are most fortunate here in Bolton to have a variety of entertainments to occupy, transport and amuse all classes, depending on your tastes. But Bolton has more cultural accomplishments to attract the locals and visitors on public holidays, at Christmas, at New Year, Whitsun and Easter. My husband has done his best to improve the opportunities available to his workers by offering evening classes. He has also permitted the construction of a reading room with a library where books may be borrowed. Some of the engine room men have shown great interest, but amongst the mill hands, this has been less successful thus far. But as my husband says, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. There seems to be no difficulty in Bolton in leading the workers to drink, perhaps due to the prevalence of establishments where beer and strong spirits are cheaply and readily available. Of course, a man can spend his wage as he sees fit once he's seen to the needs of his families, but my husband says that too often men evoke Saint Monday, as he calls it. I leave it to your imagination. To try and counter this, my husband has permitted the establishment of a working men's club. Only beer is sold. The premises are kept spotlessly clean, and concert evenings are offered. That has proved more popular. Although Bolton, like all industrial towns, is a relatively recent development, the people still like to celebrate the ancient customs they brought with them from the countryside. Pace egging at Easter is one that's enjoyed a revival in popularity. Children boil eggs and then dye them green or red, and then paint them. They then attire themselves in their finest clothes, liberally bedecked with ribbons, and go about from house to house with a basket for sweets or gingerbread, or the occasional penny. Excursions by steam train to Blackpool and Stockport are growing in popularity for a breath of seaside air and a paddle in waters, as well as other entertainment, fairs and rides, which seem to strike a chord with a Boltonian. Hundreds of them flock to the coast for the holidays. My husband and I spend our leisure slightly differently, depending on whether we're at home, at my family's country estate, or in London. In the country, we like traditional pursuits, such as riding, hunting with hounds, shooting parties, for which my poor father was famous, and my husband likes fishing. We're in London in June for the start of the season. We might go to Scotland for a week's holiday, as has been popularised by Her Majesty Queen Victoria, or travel to the Isle of Man, where my dear husband is considering buying a property to holiday at will. Like Her Majesty, we have a bathing machine. Imagine, if you will, a shed on wheels. One climbs in and closes the door, so one may change with privacy. If a lady requires assistance, there are local women known as dippers on hand if required to draw the more cautious into the grips of Neptune. The whole experience leaves one feeling invigorated and refreshed. When my husband and I are at home, we attend church every Sunday morning, where we have our own family pew. A distant cousin of mine is vicar here. On the way home, my husband always instructs the carriage driver to pass through Victoria Square so he may inspect the building work on the new town hall, which will be truly magnificent when it's completed. There are grand events for our class in Bolton, such as the Masonic Ball, where there is music and dancing, or we might venture into Manchester. But now the boys are grown, we prefer our own company, or the company of friends and family. There is something wonderful in an evening gathered around the piano, joining together in song. Of course, there are museums and art galleries in Bolton to provide food for thought, and some fine exhibitions have been shown. If there is an opinion outside of Lancashire that the industrial towns are all muck and brass and no culture, then I advocate that the skeptic pay us a visit, and we will demonstrate that we can hold our own against any of the fine cities, even London itself.